Hello everyone. I hope all of you are in your pink of health. In our last story, we were discussing about Joseph who was in prison. There, we saw Pharaoh's cupbearer and the baker too. One night, the cupbearer saw a dream, which then, when told to Joseph, he explained the meaning of the dream. To the cupbearer, he said, "One day, you will be out of the prison and you will one day become the cupbearer of Pharaoh once again." He told him, "When you become the cupbearer of Pharaoh, please do tell about me and release me from the prison." My dear children, today's story is about Pharaoh's dream. 2 years passed and Joseph is still in prison. The cupbearer has not remembered him. Then one night, Pharaoh has two very special dreams and he wonders what they meant. Can you see him sleeping there? The next morning, Pharaoh calls his wise men and tells them the things that he has dreamt. But they were not able to tell him the meaning of his dreams. Now this is the time the cupbearer thought about Joseph. He runs to Pharaoh and says, "Sir, when I was in prison, there was a man there who could tell the meaning of the dreams." As soon as Pharaoh heard this, Pharaoh ordered Joseph to be brought right away from prison. Pharaoh tells Joseph his dreams. He said, "I saw 7 fat, beautiful cows. Then I saw 7 very thin and bony cows, and the thin ones ate up the fat cows. In my second dream, I saw 7 heads of full, ripe grain growing on one stalk. Then I saw 7 thin, dried out heads of grain, and the thin heads of grain began to swallow up the 7 good heads of grain." After hearing to Pharaoh's dream, Joseph says, "The 2 dreams means the same thing. The 7 fat cows and the 7 full heads of grain mean 7 years. And the 7 thin cows and the 7 thin heads of grain means 7 more years. There will be 7 years when a lot of food will grow in Egypt. But following that, there will be 7 years where there will be scarcity of food in Egypt." So Joseph tells Pharaoh, "Choose a wise man and put him in charge of collecting food during the 7 good years, so that the people will not starve during the following 7 bad years when very little food will grow." Pharaoh loved the idea of Joseph, and he chooses Joseph to collect the food and to store it up. Next to Pharaoh, Joseph became the most important man in Egypt. 8 years later, famine struck Egypt. Joseph could see some men coming from far. Do you know who they are? They are the 10 elder brothers of Joseph. Their father Jacob has sent them to Egypt because they were running out of food back home in Canaan. Joseph recognizes his brothers, but they do not recognize him. Do you know why? It is because Joseph had grown older and he is dressed in a different kind of cloth. Joseph remembers that when he was a boy, he dreamt about his brothers coming to bow down to him. Do you remember to that story? So Joseph can see that it is God who has sent him down to Egypt, and for a good reason. What do you think Joseph did to his brothers? I'll be telling more about this in the coming episode. How did you like today's story? And what can we learn from today's story? We can see that in spite of all the sufferings and temptations Joseph had, he relied on God, and hence God worked on him. Children, if you are called to a leadership position, recognize your gifts and use them to serve God, the church, and the humanity. This is what we learn from Joseph's story. So, what can we learn from today's story? Many lessons, isn't it? When we rely God, God will give us all the strength, wisdom, and understanding to lead a beautiful life. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Until I come up with the next beautiful story of Joseph, do stay safe and healthy. Your loving Benzie Auntie. Bye. Take care.